Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League PlayStation F2 League, brought to you in partnership by GridFinder.com, Nailcoat Hall, and Driver61. I am Tim, back with my co-commentator as always, Robin. How are you doing?
I'm alright, Tim. I'm alright. Looking forward to a good race here in France. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Looking forward to a good race here in France myself. About to get underway with our short qualifying. Quick update, though, on the point standings, as last week was definitely a thriller in Australia, which saw momentarily, once I get my point standings pulled up. See, I had everything ready right when we started, and then my phone screen shut off. So last week in Australia, of course, Ginger Tiger is leading the points, overtaking Els, but only by 2 points. The winner in Australia from last week, of course, was M. Doran, was it not? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was. I think the Warslander won on track, but after penalties, M. Doran got the win.
So M. Doran in the Haas here, not out on track yet, but the Warslander, he is the one out on track in that Alpha Tower. We'll ride on board with him just on his outlap, though. Here are your tire selections. Most of the drivers choosing the soft tires, at least for their banker laps around the Paul Ricard circuit.
Yeah, I'd say if you can do a fast lap on the mediums, that's a tire to prefer to start with, but I think the Delta is a bit too big actually, so I think most of them are gonna try on the soft ones to get a decent time in there.
I found that the medium tires around this circuit, like you said, that is the ideal tire that you would like to start on if you have the pace to qualify in the top 10. But like you said, the Delta is so great that it's a difficult task. I've actually heard of some drivers using the strategy of purposely qualifying outside of the top 10, start on a fresh set of mediums, turn it into a one-stop by going from medium to hards, and that way, if you're already slow on pace, you can theoretically gain a few positions by staying out on track. It's got to kind of work just in your favor. The cards have to fall just right, but I have seen it work.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think France is one of those places where you could make some of these alternative strategy work very well in your favors, actually. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the drivers are choosing here today. If everyone will try to complete their laps on the softs like it looks like at the moment.
The Warslander on a lap now, so we'll ride on board with him. Warslander fastest in the first sector, at least for the time being. Of course, he was the first driver to start his outlap, so he will, by default, set the time to beat. This is a nice long straightaway, a nice DRS straightaway. You can see a lot of overtakes into this corner. Warslander using the esports line, using every bit of racetrack and curb that he can to get the best line through there. This is a very difficult chicane. You got to be careful about getting the power down. Those wheels will spin so very easily, and then you're going to be into the wall and out of the race. This is a very high-speed sector and a nice high-bank corner that you can usually take in about 4th or 5th gear. You see Warslander actually alternating between 4th and 5th gear between that corner there. You can get a lot of speed out of it, though. That high banking can really be your friend. Be careful on that curve, though. A little bit too much on the throttle, and it is going to spin you. And then a very tricky final 2 corners, a tight hairpin, a lot of time penalties that we're going to see here today. And then, of course, the home stretch with one more DRS zone. And the Warslander sets a time of a 1:30.549.
That's a really good first lap, to be fair. I think the track evaluation here in France is pretty big as well, so for being the first lap, that is a really good banker from the Warslander. Let's see if someone can beat him here.
Currently watching Mr. Steen in the Williams, but Luke Bailey goes to the top of the board. A 1:29.956. Simon Palmer, a 1:30.800. The Ferrari, by the way, they are leading our constructor standings by 2 points over the Haas. So for the poll today, it's not just about bragging rights. It's about an extra 2 bonus points. Or an extra bonus point, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually impressed we're seeing drivers being under 130 already in the first try. That's really impressive.
Mr. Steen goes to the top of the board, a 129.823. A lot of these guys get on there. Here is G. Queasy in the Aston Martin. He is about to set his first lap. And he goes to 7th, a 130.357. Let's take a look at Beck in the McLaren down here. He is on a flying lap, but he has invalidated. He's invalidated in the first sector. So
yeah, we have Daryl Whiffen here ending his first hot lap. He's in the final corner. See what he can do here. 30.8. It's a good try.
It's a good time, but he's only in 11th position. Of course, the fastest time being set by Mr. Steen. That is a 129.823 in the Williams, and Luke Bailey in the Ferrari, and Ginger Tiger in the Aston Martin. That is your top three with taking L's, and oh, it's just Nico, your top five. Beck in the McLaren. Let's take a look and see if he's going to go for another lap. No, he's letting his competitors go who are on a lap. We got Ivan Belove, Beck's teammate, who is invalidated this lap, but this is likely just the lap that he's going to pit on anyway, so it doesn't matter. He is set a 131.3 on those medium tires. So now I guess it's... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that France is one of those tracks where you have to weigh the risk and reward very much, because you need to be aggressive of a lot of these curves. Oh, as we see Beck spin in the second corner. I was just about to say that you have to be aggressive over these curves. They are pretty easy to cut the corner just a little bit too much and invalidate, and it's a lot of those corners where you have to just be on the curb all the time, and it's just marginal to keep the car on track. So I think the one that risked the most here tonight will get the pole.
I have to agree with you. And to talk about the time penalties for a minute, France falls into a category of certain tracks that no matter what, you're going to expect a lot of time penalties there. So you got France, you have Canada, Spain to some degree, Austria to some degree. These are tracks that have a lot of high speed to them, or at least high speed sections, to where a lot of drivers will just be very liberal with their track limit usage, and usually it ends up coming back to bite them. Of course, with Canada, you have the chicane of the Wall of Champions, and I guess the chicane of champions, you can call it. And in France, you have basically every single corner. I personally have had the most trouble with the final corner, that very tight hairpin, as well as the double right-hander at the end of the first sector.
Yeah, I find the chicane on the back straight to be pretty tough to get the car in correct, especially in the second corner there in the chicane, just to get the power down and then just get the traction out of that corner is pretty tough.
Joe Hamster 9 out on track now in the Mercedes on his flying lap. So far, so good. We'll ride on board with him.
It looked like he had a purple first sector.
Could we maybe see a potential provisional pole lap from the Mercedes driver of Joe Hamster 9? Fifth gear through this corner, very hard on the throttle out, using the runoff area to his advantage, using a little bit of that curb, being very careful to avoid a lot of power down. You don't want to spin the wheels. Almost like you use the dividing line as a bit of a guide barrier into that corner. That's actually an interesting line that he took. I might have to steal that from him. So Joe Hamster, as he crosses the line, he will go 12th place, a 130.853 on the soft tires. And the Warslander out for another lap.
Yeah, and I was noticing that M. Doran, who's in second place, he's done 3 laps on those softs. And as we know, tire wear is pretty huge here in France. Just one hot lap will get those tires to degrade quite a bit. I wonder if he he must go out and try to do another try, I'd say, to get a fresher set of tires to start with in the race. Otherwise, he's gonna have a big disadvantage against his competitors.
And I'm sure that he will go out there because the track later on in the qualifying session is going to have a lot more grip than it does at the early stages of qualifying. So it's almost like Doran was maybe trying to use this as a bit of a practice session. But where that could come back to bite him is if he messes up on that final lap and does not get the faster time. Then, like you said, he will be at a huge disadvantage. But regardless, I don't think we are going to see drivers go longer than about 7 laps or so on the soft tires around here, as DeLange actually sets the quickest time with a 1:29.808 in the Williams.
Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't place our bets before that happened. I was actually betting for him on pole tonight. We'll see if he can hold on to that one, or if he if someone else could challenge him here. It's still half quality left to go, so we're gonna have a lot of drivers finishing their tries here as well.
Watching Beck 9000 on his outlap. Has not had the best qualifying runs, to say the least. A lot of invalidations, a couple of spins, but the McLaren driver still out there going to try to do his best and get a provisional pole. DeLange, Mr. Steen, and Doran, your top 3, with Luke Bailey and Elite Dave, your top 5 at the moment, with just over 6.5 minutes remaining in qualifying. Now Luke Bailey goes quickest, a 1:29.747.
Yeah, that's really good, really good. It looks like the Ferraris and the Williams guys are really fast here tonight. We're probably gonna see a really good back. Oh, 29.3. That's huge. From it's just Nico.
That is a huge gap indeed. It's just Nico not fooling around here. Few drivers starting to come out on their flying laps. Might be their last flying lap, but with just over 6 minutes remaining, they still have time if this doesn't go as planned. But Beck has already invalidated again, so let's take a look at DeLange. He has decided to pit, though, so Doran is on his outlap now. He is the lone Haas driver in our field today, and that is going to be a huge disadvantage to him in the constructor standings, because going into this race, it is Ferrari that is on the top of the board, with Haas just 2 points behind. Ferrari has 25 points, where the Haas has 23 points.
Yes. I'm still very impressed with Nico's lap there. Just looking back at the F1 race yesterday, I think that would have placed him in the top 5, actually. So, a really good lap for Nico.
So watching Doran on his flying lap now. So far, so good for him. We'll ride on board with him, see just what he is doing to get this top 5 time. Very fast through the chicane, keeping it in 3rd gear. Looks like he might have a top speed setup in this car. He's going into 8th gear a little bit sooner than some of the guys that I've watched in the past. In another league that I commentate for just a few weeks ago, we visited France, so I'm already sort of brushed up on my driver lines around here, surprisingly.
That's good. I was driving this track yesterday, and I really like France. It's a cool track. A lot can happen, and obviously could be a difficult race if it would rain as well.
And Doran goes a 1:29.678 second quickest for Doran. It's just Nico still at the top of the board. Luke Bailey in the pit, but it like Dave on the outlap. G Queasy still in 10th, but he is on a flying lap, but with 2 laps on those tires, feel like he's probably going to pit sooner rather than later. So let's take a look at the Alpine of Elite Dave. Very, very smooth through this section. Of course, It is just his outlap, as I've said, so this will not be a timed lap, but you do have to be careful because if you cut the penultimate corner at this track, it will still invalidate your lap for the next time you go around. So you got to be very careful here in this last sector to not pick up an invalidation. Otherwise, you've went out there for nothing and wasted a set of tires. But he has no invalidation. He's got the DRS, so he is good to go. Light Dave starts his probably final flying lap now. His best time, a 1:30.013, 8th quickest so far. Let's see what he's got left in the tank.
Ooh.
Oh, I guess that's what he's got left in the tank. A nice little spin for us out of the second corner.
That's just so easy to do, Tim. You just push very hard through the first corner. You try to get as much speed as you can through the second corner. You're shifting up to 5th gear. If you cut that corner a little bit too much, you're gonna lose the rear and spin out, and that's just exactly what happened to Elite Dave here. Unfortunately for him.
At least he's got a decent time with a 1:30.013, currently in the top 10. Maybe he can hang on to it, but who knows with just over 2 minutes remaining. Taking a look at Joe Hamster 9, riding on board with him. His best lap, a 1:30.853. The top 7 runners, with the exception of M. Doran, are on their outlaps as well. And DeLange has started his flying lap, so once Joe Hamster crosses the line, we will go over to DeLange and watch him and see if he can maybe defend that previous provisional pole time that he had before It's Just Nico decided to go a little bit faster.
Unfortunately, DeLange invalidates his lap here. That's a shame for him.
Not what he was needing, so it might be a 1:29.8 for DeLange. Mr. Steen, though, he might still have a shot, but Joe Hamster rounding the final corner. This will be his final lap, unless he wants to go one more on this set of tires, but I don't see why he would. Crosses the line. Does he improve? He does. Goes to 9th, a 1:30.130. Mr. Steen, so far looking good. We'll ride on board with him as he's in the second sector.
Yeah, and he was taking that chicane there really well. Had a really tight line on the curbs. Let's see if he can do this third sector. Oh, and this is such an important corner, just to carry all that speed, some trail braking. Same thing goes for this corner, and then it's just flat out until the 2 last corners here. It's looking good, looking good.
Activates the DRS, and Mr. Steen crosses the line, and he will go to second, a 1:29.514. It's Just Nico with a 1:29.380. Might just be your pole sitter, but let's make sure that Luke Bailey doesn't have anything left for him, and he went very wide in the second sector, so he probably doesn't. Taking L's, though, maybe he's got something left in this Red Bull. We will ride on board with him. Looking a little bit slow through the second sector, but hey, you know what? It might look slow, but it doesn't mean it's not fast. We'll wait and see what the lap time is. Was not purple in that second sector, so taking L's more than likely will not be improving his lap, at least not by a significant margin. It's Just Nico might have just locked in the pole, but he is on a lap as well. He is rounding the final corner now. Let's see if he can improve on his already pole-winning lap time. He activates the DRS one final time, crosses the line. It's Just Nico will not improve his lap, but he still has the provisional pole.
Yeah, we have Luke Bailey here in the last corner. He was down 1.5 tenths on his in the second sector. Goes up to third.
Mr. Steen in second, M. Doran fourth, Ginger Tiger in 5th place. It's Just Nico still your pole sitter, and that is all she wrote. G. Queasy on a lap, though, but he is in the pits, so what you see is what you get. Congratulations to It's Just Nico on your pole position for the French Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was just a great lap from Nico. 29.3 here in the F2 League. That's just a great time, and he truly deserves that pole. But it looks pretty close all the way from, I mean, still from Nico up to 15th is within 1 second, Tim, and it's a pretty long lap here in France as well, so seems promising for the race.
One thing I am very surprised to see is Simon Palmer in the 16th position in the Ferrari there. He was top 3 last week in Australia, had an impressive drive, but Simon Palmer going to be starting almost dead last in the field today.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be too happy with 16th starting position, but like we talked about before, I think the alternative strategy around here is very powerful, so combined with, say, a safety car or anything, I guess he still have a pretty good shot at getting top position here today, so shouldn't count him out yet.
Just waiting to run out the clock. Got 8 seconds remaining on the clock, and I guess this time we decided that we just had to run it all out, so we got to wait it out, and there we go. Now we can advance. That is Turok that you see on your screen. Turok, of course, in the Alpine for the season in F2. Here are your official starting lineup for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation F2 League French Grand Prix. Oh, it's just Nico on the pole. Mr. Steen in second. Third is Luke Bailey. Fourth, M. Doran. Ginger Tiger in fifth. Delange in sixth. Taking L's in seventh. Ivan Beloved in eighth. Ninth is Elite Dave. Joe Hamster in 10th. Beck 9000 in 11th. The Warslander in 12th. 13th is Eric Pancakes. G. Queasy in 14th. Turok in 15th. Simon Palmer in 16th. And 17th is Daryl Whiffen.
Yeah, like I said, it's just really close between all these drivers, and the leader in the driver standings, Ginger, is in 5th starting position, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do from there. I also wonder a little bit, Tim, what kind of strategy the drivers are choosing. I'd say the one-stop is a lot more powerful than a two-stop. However, the safety car could come into play and spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, and if the safety car comes into play, their original strategy more than likely will be going out the window. You can guarantee that, especially if it's a late race safety car. If they have a fresh set of softs, they will more than likely dive down into the pit lane. But it is time to get our top 3 predictions in. So my predictions in any order for the race today is going to be, oh, it's just Nico, Delange, and Luke Bailey. What about you, Robin?
I'll take Delange, Ginger, and Mr. Steen. So 2 Williams.
So all of our drivers starting around the top 5 at least could have a decent shot at the podium is what the commentators are saying, just waiting for the drivers to set their strategy so we can start the formation lap for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation F2 League French Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership by GridFinder.com, Nailcoat Hall, and Driver61. A big shout out to our sponsors for jumping on board and supporting the race and the league as a whole. Looks like the timer has started just 22 seconds before we get that formation lap started. So, Robin, what are we expecting?
It seems like we're going to have a dry race for starters. Can't see any clouds, basically, so I'm assuming that we have a dry race. And from that, I'm guessing, let's see now when we can see the tire options. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what the guys have chosen to start with. Seems like we have, that's pretty interesting, we have, out of the top 10, there are 3 guys on the hard tire, and we have 4 guys on the medium tires. So both Beck and Warslander in 11th and 12th are starting on the hards, along with Simon Palmer. And then Pancakes, G-Quiz, T-Rock, and Daryl Whiffen on the mediums. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they are choosing medium hard strategy or hard soft medium soft to go to the end.
I think that theoretically we could see the hard runners stretch this out. If it goes green, no safety car, no VSC, but if it goes green, we could see some of the hard tire runners stretch it out and try to make it on a one-stop and go from hard to soft. Now, the easy, safe strategy would definitely be hard to medium or medium to hard. You know very well that you're going to be able to make it to the end on that strategy. But beyond that, if you can put soft tires on within the last 6 to 10 laps of the race, you can have a lot of pace for that short amount of time, and it might just make all the difference. But with a lot of safety cars, then your advantage is gone, because a lot of guys are going to be on soft tires then.
Yeah, definitely. And I think depending on your setup on the car, how aggressive you are on the tires, a soft, medium soft is possible. I know me and a couple of other drivers did that in F1 last night. It is possible, but I think I had over 70% wear on both my softs and medium tires at the end of my stint. So it's a pretty risky one and a pretty tough one, and you really need to have a good setup to pull that off.
Of course, the lighter fuel load at the end of the run will certainly help your tire wear a little bit. Not a whole lot, but it might get you an extra lap or so.
Yeah, you're true. Totally right there. That could also play a factor, of course.
Just waiting on the drivers to find their spots on the starting grid. Oh, it's just Nico going to be leading them off. Mr. Steen, Luke Bailey, your top 3. M. Doran, Ginger Tiger, your top 5. DeLange taking L's. Ivan Beloved, Light Dave, and Joe Hamster 9, your top 10. 27 laps from the Paul Ricard circuit coming your way here momentarily. And here you go. You hear those engines revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Invictus Racing League PlayStation F2 League French Grand Prix. Oh, it's just Nico leading him down to turn number 1. A big jump over Mr. Steen in the Williams. Third place of Luke Bailey in the Ferrari. He is in a big shuffle, dropping down to 4th now. M. Doran in the Haas, trying to go around him, but he backs out of it. So M. Doran is now down to 4th. Just behind them, there's a McLaren of Ivan Beloved. He is fighting hard with another Williams. That is DeLange. DeLange TTV, almost with the provisional pole today, but not able to get it. He gets the move around. Ivan moves up into 7th, trying to fight with taking L's in the Red Bull now. Looking on the outside, not able to do anything with it. Taking L's, looking on the back of Ginger Tiger, trying to find a way around it, but cannot do it. He's losing the gap to him, so now he has to worry about what's happening out the back, and that is the McLaren of Ivan Beloved. Just a little bit up ahead. The battle is starting to fizzle out, but Mr. Steen trying to find a way to get close to, oh, it's just Nico, but I don't think that anyone can. He might have already have this race won as long as he can avoid time penalties, but it's only lap 1. He has just been so fast and already pulling away. Luke Bailey less than half a second behind Mr. Steen, but Mr. Steen flirting with going up more than a second behind. Oh, it's just Nico. Not a lot of tense there.
Yeah, it felt like it was a lot of things happening there in the first couple of corners, but still it seemed like all the cars have gotten away pretty good without any damage. I think G-Quiz was falling behind a little bit together with Daryl Whiffen, but I think they just had a little bit of spin outside the track. I don't think they have any damage, so they should be able to go on. Or actually, it seems like Daryl might have some. He seems to go into the pits right now.
On board with DeLange, he's dropped back to 9th place. He's chasing Light Dave in the Alpine as they motor down into turn number 1 and through turn number 2. Oh, and Light Dave, he gets loose and he spins right where he did in qualifying. Light Dave drops all the way back. I saw him flip the curb, and I was just about to say, what if he goes around? And sure enough, he did.
Yeah, and it seems like Joe Hamster joined him there. He did the exact same thing and ended up in the same spot as Elite Dave. Unfortunately for them, they're gonna be hoping for a safety car, I assume, before this race is over.
So DeLange gets up to 8th place. Eric Pancakes promoted to 9th. The Warslander in 10th. Beck 9000 on the hard tires in 11th. The Warslander and Beck 9000, both of those on the hard tires. They are the furthest hard tire runners so far on the grid, 10th and 11th place. But it looks like the Warslander is making a move around Eric Pancakes around the outside of him. And oh, that was close. But the Warslander got the move done. Move him up into 9th. Eric Pancakes down to 10th. But Eric's going to try to fight back. He just does not have the speed. Beck 9000 maybe having a look at Eric Pancakes as well. Goes a little bit wide through that penultimate corner, though, but ultimately gets a better exit out of it. Through the hairpin, though, he's got to be very careful. Oh, it's just Nico, a 133.5, your fastest lap now.
Yeah, lap 3 now. You know what that means, Tim.
DRS has been enabled. We're going to start seeing a lot of drivers taking risks and making moves around these cars, taking L's. Just half a second behind Ginger Tiger. Maybe he will be the first to blink, the first to try to make a move with the DRS assist. Ivan Beloved, though, he is right on the back of that Red Bull here. Ivan Beloved, he had a decent qualifying, mainly a quiet qualifying, but he's having a good run so far. 7th place in the points, so that is good. That's what we're looking for. That's what all these drivers are looking for, are nice, consistent points finishes. But that was a DRS strain that, oh my goodness, and Ginger Tiger loses it in the chicane. He hangs on to it, but not before losing 2 positions. Taking L's, and Ivan Beloved go by him. Ginger Tiger drops down to 7th place.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, that chicane in the back straight. It's so... Oh, and we have a spin on Ivan Beloved. Did he manage to keep it on track? Oh, it seems like he did.
Just barely. So Ivan Beloved in the 8th position now after losing those 2 spots that he had just gained, mind you. Delange, though, he is slowly working his way up the field just by playing the war of attrition here. He is the only one, it seems almost, that has not had some kind of a moment, some kind of a wiggle, a bobble, a spin, or something in these first 4 laps.
Yeah, you're absolutely true there, Tim. And it looks like, at least for now, that Mrs. Steen are able to keep up with Nico in the front. He's only 7/10 behind, and he has a lot of ERS save at this moment. I think he can just, in the DRS zones, he doesn't have to use an ERS basically, so he could save some while Nico has to spend some of his own to keep Mrs. Steen behind him. So I think Mrs. Steen is going to have a pretty good opportunity here in a couple of laps at least, when Nico's ERS is starting to be empty.
Well, he thought about it there. He had a bit of an opportunity, but could not quite get the run. And as you were saying, it was likely because Nico saw that coming and activated the ERS just in time to keep Mr. Steen behind him. Luke Bailey, though, in the Ferrari, he's been having a ding-dong battle with M. Doran. M. Doran moving into 3rd place in the Haas. And this is not just an on-track battle. This is the Constructors' Standings points battle that you're watching now. We're only 2 races in. This is our 3rd. But Ferrari leading Haas by only 2 points. You know that these guys are going to be going at it hard. And M. Doran, what makes this more impressive is he is the lone Haas in the field today, where Luke Bailey has Simon Palmer as a teammate. So Ferrari has 2 cars that can score points. Haas, they only have 1.
Yeah, and it seems like Ginger Tiger is pitting right now. I wonder if he had any damage or if he's going for a 2-stop strategy here. Because I don't think or maybe he's going to the hard tire. Let's see here. Seems like he does. I wonder if he's gonna try to take those to the end, or if he's gonna go for another pit stop later in the race and perhaps hope for a safety car.
I believe that the hard tires could definitely go to the end, but the question is how, just how mad are they going to be at you in about 20 laps time, because that's almost as much that you're going to need. It's about 19, 20 laps or so that you're going to be putting on those hard tires at the end of it.
I was with Mr. Steen here on the back straight, on the DRS straight, and he was thinking of it. He was showing himself in Nico's left mirror, but finally decided to back off just before the chicane there. I think in a lap or 2 here, we're going to see him give it another try. He still has a lot of ERS left to play with.
And there's only 2 DRS zones around the Paul Ricard circuit, so there's not a lot of opportunities to pass. And of course, the DRS zones aren't necessarily the only places that you can make a nice, clean pass, but it definitely does do you a lot of favors.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Luke Bailey go into the pits now as well. And I think if you look at the standings right now, the Warriorslander is soon in 6th position here on his hard tires, so this alternate strategy is working pretty good for him. If he can keep this up, he's going to be able to have a better tire choice in the last stint here probably, and be able to catch up some positions that way.
And Eric Pancakes has retired from the session, picked up a 3-second time penalty, and then pulled into the pit. So not sure what's going on with Eric, but he is officially out of this race.
Yeah, it seems like he's standing still in the 3rd sector. I wonder if he actually I think he spun out there. Maybe he got a little bit too wide on the curb to the left. And it seems like we have a safety car.
Oh, you're right, and we do actually have a safety car. So Eric Pancakes, he is actually wrecked out. That is the correction. He did not retire in the pits. He is wrecked out of the session, and we are now under a full safety car.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see all soft runners go in and change to the hard tires from here. That's what I would do at least, and try to take those to the end. And if I were to guess, I think all the medium tires that are left and the ones on hard tires are gonna try to stay out. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting here to see what the drivers are choosing.
It really is. And Mr. Steen, oh, it's just Nico. They all go into the pits. Doran files in behind him. Taking L's, does he pit or does he stay out on track? I think he might have stayed out on track. No, he is actually pitted as well. Delange pit. So yes, the top 6 at least are pitting. They just keep racking up the pit stops. The Warriorslander, no surprise there on the hard tires. He stays out. So he is now up into 1st place.
Yeah, and this safety car has come in the worst time for Luke Bailey and Ginger Tiger, who were pitting before, just before the safety car actually. So we'll see if they are gonna lose any position because of this, or if they could actually still hang on to the positions they had before.
There is Luke Bailey, 8th place at the moment, with 1 lap on the fresh set of hard tires. It actually does look like once the guys in the top 4 pit, Luke Bailey theoretically has retained his running position. Now, granted, it's going to be a while before the top 4 pits, so it's going to get all out of whack. Luke Bailey may not necessarily re-inherit 4th position, but it seems he has most likely stayed about where he was on track.
Yeah, and I think seeing a couple of guys on the medium tires here, I personally would say they will have a hard time get to the end with those. I think Beck was on a set of hard tires and decided to go for the mediums already. We'll see if that's that's a winning choice of him. But those mediums are definitely gonna be screaming at the end of this race if he's gonna take him to the end.
It's definitely a bold choice, but maybe the extra amount of lap time that you get out of the medium tires could be just enough to build a gap over the hard tire runners, and then you can just go into full conservation mode at that point.
Yeah, true. I think I pitted for mediums on end of lap 9 yesterday, so I managed to do, 18 laps on the mediums. Counting in that there's a safety car now, they won't have much wear during these few laps here in the start, but still, it's gonna be tough. They're gonna have to watch out so they won't get a puncture before the race is over.
Lap 8 of 27 of the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation F2 League French Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership by GridFinder.com, Nailcoat Hall, and Driver61. Big shout out to our sponsors for jumping on board and supporting the race and a league as a whole. The Warslander, Turok, Simon Palmer, your top 3, with G, Queasy, and Oh It's Just Nico, your top 5, Mr. Steen, M. Doran, Luke Bailey, Taking L's, and Ivan Belove, your top 10.
And Mr. Steen, also interesting to see him go for the medium tire. He is definitely gonna have a pace advantage, I'd say, over Nico these first couple of laps, until the tires are starting to even out, and in the end the hards are gonna be faster, of course, than the mediums. So Mr. Steen's plan is probably to try to pass Nico as fast as possible and build a gap so he won't be catched in the end of the race here.
And the safety car coming in this lap. The Warslander will be the control car when the safety car pulls into the pits. He will decide when to go as long as it's before the start-finish line. And every driver behind him will be anxiously waiting his mark.
Yeah. All the guys on the hards are gonna have a tougher time to get their temperatures up in the tires, of course. So let's see here if all the guys on mediums could have advantage here at the start. Pick a couple of places already on the first lap.
We'll ride on board with Simon Palmer in the 3rd position. Gonna get a nice view of our 1st and 2nd place cars and how the two react to one another. Simon Palmer, a little bit of a slide out of the final corner, but he is on the throttle hard, and the Warslander leads him into turn number 1, and he does not catch Turok sleeping. Turok stays right with him through turn number 1. A nice tight apex from the top 3 cars.
Oh, we have a spin of Taking L's. He was banging wheels with, I don't know if it was one of the McLarens, if it was Beck, I think. And unfortunately for Taking L's, he got spun off there. Just have to try to catch up with the rest of the field now. Seems like Ginger Tiger also lost some time in 15th position now.
And Taking L's going into this race 2nd in the point standings. So that is not going to do him any favors whatsoever. Still everyone chasing the Warslander with Turok and Simon Palmer, your top 3. Oh, it's just Nico, though. He is in 4th place. And now G. Queasy and Daryl Whiffen both have 3-second time penalties for multiple warnings.
I think Mrs. Steen is really eager to get by Nico here. He is right up in his gearbox around this whole lap. The first lap after the safety car. I think we're gonna see him once the DRS is gonna be enabled. He will probably have a pretty good shot at getting past Nico, unless Nico gets DRS from the cars in front of him. Then his own DRS would be disabled, so to say, and it will be a lot tougher for him to get past. But still, he has the tire advantage at this moment, so he would like to pass him as soon as possible.
The problem that we're seeing here is sort of like what we saw in Australia last week, to where these guys are so equal on pace that they get very close to one another, and then they get caught in dirty air, so they can't really make any maneuvers around one another, but they don't necessarily lose positions either. And at the same time, they're stuck in a DRS train to where they have DRS, but so does the car in front of them, and so does the car in front of them, and so does the car in front of them, etc. To the point to where you just get these long trains that run around this racetrack, and probably some frustrated drivers.
Yeah, absolutely true. However, France is a little bit different than Australia. You still have much longer straights to make a difference, so to say, that the DRS is a little bit more powerful, but still it's it's a lot about where you use your ERS as well, how effective you can be with it. Could you stay away from using it around the lap until the longest straights, then you probably gonna have an advantage, as you're gonna save more, of course, around the lap.
And while you were talking about that, Robin, Mr. Steen tried to make a bold move underneath of Oh It's Just Nico through that high banked right-hander, thought better of it, had to almost lock up the brakes to avoid hitting Oh It's Just Nico, so Mr. Steen, no advancement in position there, but he is definitely one of those drivers that's starting to get a little bit impatient and would really, really love for the DRS gods to send him just a tiny little favor and get around Oh It's Just Nico, because theoretically that is the position that could be for the lead of this race once the top 3 drivers pit, and as we have seen, clean air can go a long way. Mr. Steen thought about making a move around Oh It's Just Nico, still could not get the move done because Oh It's Just Nico had DRS on the car in front of him.
I think DeLang is one of the drivers who lost some positions now in the restart. Both Ivan Belov and Beck, the 2 McLarens, have, I don't know if both have passed him, but they are driving away from him a little bit at the moment, and they are of course having an advantage with a softer compound on the car right now, softer compound on the tires. But it's somewhat of a train
and Mr.
here.
Steen, he goes for the dive bomb underneath of Oh It's Just Nico through the final corner. Cannot get the job done. He will have the DRS on him, though, but Oh It's Just Nico, he has got the DRS as well. And M. Doran, he is also in this mix. Let's ride on board with him. We got a 3-car battle for the 4th position. M. Doran going around the outside of Mr. Steen. Oh, and Mr. Steen cuts him off just a little bit. M. Doran goes over that curb, somehow avoids a time penalty, but Mr. Steen, he is ready to pounce at M. Doran. He is ready to get by both of these guys and not even look back and wave hello.
Yeah, and as that was happening, Tim, we have Daryl Whiffen spinning in the 2nd corner as well. So not what he was hoping for, of course. But like you said, it's a really good battle here on the back straight now with DRS for everyone here. It's just a big train of cars, and we see. Is it Ivan Belov on Luke Bailey? Yeah, up to 7th position in the chicane there.
There's a little bit of contact there between the McLaren and the Ferrari as well. So Luke Bailey, he might have some very minor wing damage, not sure. So far the car seems okay. It seems like he's maintaining his pace. But Beck 9000, the other McLaren, about to try to get around Luke Bailey. We'll ride on board with him and see what he is going to do to get around one of the most experienced drivers in the Invictus Racing League.
Oh, it's just so close between 3rd and 6th. Look at that, within 1 second. And now we have a car in the pits. Who was that? T-Rock.
So the Alpina T-Rock makes his pit stop. His teammate Light Dave in 10th place, now promoted up to 9th after T-Rock loses the spot. Beck 9000 still giving chase to Luke Bailey. We essentially have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-car train on the front straightaway, and it all starts with Simon Palmer in the Ferrari. Oh, it's just Nico in 3rd, Mr. Steen 4th, and M. Doran in 5th. Ivan Beloved, Luke Bailey, Beck 9000. It is just an insane line of cars that we see.
Yeah, it's so close, and now we have Nico taking a move on Palmer. Yeah, he passes him.
Oh, but does Mr. Steen get it? Oh, Mr. Steen and Simon Palmer make contact. Mr. Steen turns around. Simon Palmer hangs on to 3rd. Mr. Steen dropping back. He's out of the top 10 now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Mr. Steen, who was having a really good pace around here. Let's see if he can make some positions back.
And I don't know how I feel about that, Robin. I kind of feel like maybe Simon Palmer could have left him a little bit of room, but at the same time, Mr. Steen was a little bit ambitious. I guess the easy way to say is a racing incident, but nonetheless, I'd say that Mr. Steen's not going to be too happy.
Yeah, definitely not him. I didn't actually see what happened there, but I was on with Nico, who just passed Simon Palmer, and Simon was just letting him by. Basically, knew that fight was lost, but then he didn't want to let Steen pass him as well, as it would be two cars within one corner. Now we just see the time penalties are start to rain in here from a lot of drivers.
Simon Palmer went wide out of 2 to pick up that 3-second time penalty, trying to defend against M. Doran, who's got 7 laps on his hard tires. Simon Palmer with 13 laps on his tires. M. Doran, he might have a run on him on the DRS straight here. He's got a nice run on him, and he's going around him. He's on the inside. They're side by side, but M. Doran is going to get the position just barely before they get to the corner. Move M. Doran up into 3rd. Simon Palmer back to 4th, and Ivan Belov going to be the next one to pick off Simon Palmer. Simon Palmer starting to drop like a rock now. Move Ivan up into the 4th position.
Yeah, M. Doran is looking really fast. Look at that. He's only 3/10 behind Nico now, and he has a lot more ERS. I think Nico had to use a lot of it to get past Simon Palmer and keep him behind the lap before here. And he almost loses the rear, Nico, right
And we
there.
got a side-by-side battle between Beck 9000 and Luke Bailey. They've been side-by-side for a couple of corners now. Luke Bailey on the outside, trying to get around the McLaren. Not able to do it. Does he go for the dive bomb? No, he falls back in line. Beck 9000 gets the spot and moves into 6th. Luke Bailey into 7th. It's a McLaren versus Ferrari show. We got Ivan in the McLaren, Simon in the Ferrari, Beck in the McLaren, Luke in the Ferrari, and then just behind Luke, we have got a lot of cars jostling around for position. There goes the Alpine of the Light Dave getting around Luke Bailey. Put Luke Bailey back into 8th position. The Light Dave starting to make moves through the field here into 7th.
Yeah, and as you were watching that battle, Tim, I was just watching M. Doran and Nico, where M. Doran passed Nico into turn 1 with the DRS. So let's see here if Nico can get back at him in the back straight with the DRS on M. Doran.
And that is theoretically for the win, but I do want to ask you something, Robin. In what reality would it be possible for the Warislander to extend those tires another 14 laps to the end of the race?
He won't be able to, unfortunately, Tim. He has to pit. So I think we'll see him go for a soft or medium tire before this race is over. But it seems like Ivan Belov is in this fight as well for now, keeping himself behind Nico at the moment in 4th place. So we have 3 cars here in the net lead, so to say, at this moment.
But the longer this race goes on, Robin, the more I'm seeing that you making the call for hard tires, it was definitely going to be the way to go. Because Ivan Belov, like you said, he is keeping pace with these guys so far. But there's going to come a time to where those medium tires fall off a cliff. And that's when M. Doran and It's Just Nico are really going to prevail. The race is more than likely between those 2 drivers. And it's just... It's kind of like this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mediums are gonna have a really tough time, and we see Beck pass Simon Palmer on the back straight now. That was a nice pass, clean. So we have both McLarens in 4th and 5th now.
And both of the Ferraris in 7th and 8th. Haas in 2nd place. Just to give you on an update of our constructor standings going into this race, it was Ferrari in the lead by 2 points over Haas. And then Aston Martin 3rd, Red Bull 4th. McLaren, surprisingly, all the way down in 9th. But today, they could get their first points on the season.
Yeah, AlphaTauri was looking really strong as well. However, the Warislander is gonna have to pit at some point. I bet he's hoping for a safety car to be able to change his tires. and the Ferraris are switching position with each other. Maybe it was a team call.
Maybe so. It looks like Luke Bailey might be the team's best chance at getting a better finishing position. Simon Palmer, he seems to be going the wrong way. Luke Bailey, it's like he's kind of floating to the top right now. So, but they've still both got time penalties, and that is going to come back to bite them at the end. Just nothing they can do about him at the moment, but so does Beck 9000 and Daryl Whiffen. Add him to the list of having time penalties. I think that's a second or third time penalty that he has picked up today. Lap 17 of 27 in the books for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation F2 League, brought to you in partnership by Driver61, Nailcoat Hall, and GridFinder.com. Big shout out to our sponsors for jumping on board and supporting the race and the league as a whole. You're currently watching your pole sitter, Oh It's Just Nico, run third, chasing the Haas of M. Doran, everyone chasing the Alpha Tauri of the Warslander.
Yeah, the Warslander is haunted at this moment. We can still see the McLarens keeping up with the guys in front. I think both Luke Bailey and DeLange is going to have a little bit of an advantage the longer we go into this stint. DeLange's looking pretty good at the moment, with the 3 cars in front of him having time penalties as well. So this is far from over yet, Tim. Far from over.
I think it's really just beginning. Lap 18 of 27, and Oh It's Just Nico starting to chip at the gap between him and M. Doran. Of course, he's stayed within DRS range this entire time. All he's really got to do is stay right here and just play a waiting game. The waiting game, of course, being the Warslander to pit, and then the race will really be on for the lead.
Yes, the M. Doran knows that the Warslander has to pit. And then we have Nico and Bill just behind him. So he's got to be on his toes all the way through this race. It's kind of easy to just go a little bit wide or cut a corner here and there and get a time penalty, or even spin the car in some places. So just very important to keep the focus, obviously.
So the question still remains, though, when does the Warslander pit for the soft tires? Because looking at this, I realized I had just done my math wrong. Well, there's your answer. He goes ahead and pits. But I'd done my math wrong, and I thought that he had issues on the first lap and pitted for the hard tires and was trying to go to the end. Turns out he was one of the 3, I think, that started on the hard tires. So that would explain why he's making the decision to pit now. That's about within the window of the hard tires. He goes on to the softs. Might be a fastest lap incoming from the Warslander, but he'll be lucky to finish in the top 5 at this rate, being all the way back.
Yes, and we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. It's G-Quiz having a little spin here, unfortunately.
And Joe Hamster in Sector 1 simultaneously having an issue, drops down to 9th. So a lot of guys having solo spins around this circuit at the moment.
Yeah, and G-Quiz caller for today retired.
Back to
See
the battle.
if that could bring out a safety car or anything. Doesn't look like it at this point.
And Ivan Beloved just motored by Oh It's Just Nico for second place, and Beck 9000 is trying to go around them as well. There goes Beck 9000 around Oh It's Just Nico, but Nico is able to defend just barely. The 2 McLarens are making a sandwich, and Alpha Tauri is the cream in the middle. Oh It's Just Nico just trying to get around this Ivan Beloved guy that he's saying, hey, what's he doing in front of me? The leader is all the way up there. Oh, it's just Nico. He was on the pole. He's used to leading this race. And look at Beck 9000, just absolutely bullying his way almost around Oh It's Just Nico before finally backing out of it. Nico will have the DRS here, but so will Beck 9000. It's going to be Ivan Beloved that's going to be the sitting duck. Beck 9000, though, he's putting a lot of pressure on Nico. Nico with nowhere to go. They're fighting side by side. And Ivan Beloved dives down to try to give his teammate a little bit of slipstream, and there's contact going into turn number 1. Oh, it's just Nico stays in 3rd place. Beck 9000 in 4th, but do they have wing damage? There's no way that they don't. That was such a hard hit.
Yeah, Beck 9000 using all available track on this circuit. He was on the curbs, he was outside the curbs, he was everywhere at one point. Just trying to get past Nico. Let's see here. He's going again, but he's soon out of ERS, unfortunately. But let's see if he can pass him. Nico with DRS himself is able to defend this time.
Oh, and he hits him anyway! He hits him anyway! They both go off track! Ivan Belov with a 3-second time penalty! Oh, it's just Nico with no time penalties!
Yeah, I think Beck passed him outside the track line still. Let's see if the stewards will have anything to say about that one, Tim.
On board with Oh, it's just Nico. He is fighting hard to defend his podium position. Beck 9000, he's got time penalties, so does Ivan Beloved. There are your time penalties on the screen, 3 seconds for both of them, and Beck 9000 just got a little bit loose. Oh, it's just Nico, goes back around into third.
Yeah, I think Beck is starting to... Oh, and Nico has... he's almost losing the rear there again in the end of the lap. And Beck goes past him again. What a fight, Tim. What a fight.
And at this point, it might just behoove Nico to lay back a little bit and understand that he is going to at least get a podium out of this if he finishes in 4th because of the time penalties ahead of him. He can't let Beck get too far ahead of him, obviously, but he can afford to relax a little bit. But he probably knows that both of those guys have time penalties in front of him, not just Beck, but Ivan as well. So he's thinking, why settle for 1 when you could get 2 for the price of 1? So he's trying to fight hard to keep within contention of 2nd place, not just 3rd, but 2nd place.
Yeah, and Luke Bailey has joined the party here as well. So we now have a three-car train here from 3rd to 5th. Luke with a penalty as well. And then behind him you have DeLang on the hard tire as well. So let's see what happens here in the last couple of laps. If we see any switch of positions. Seems like Simon Palmer has done his pit stop as well, and he's down to 13th at the moment.
So this has turned into M. Doran's race to lose. He got the lead, and now he's 3.6 seconds ahead of Ivan Beloved. Even with a 3-second time penalty, he's got a nice window and 2 drivers behind him with time penalties as well, just to save up for extra measure. So M. Doran, as long as he doesn't make a catastrophic mistake, could be the one standing on the top spot of the podium at the end of the day.
Yeah, M. Doran's just having a really solid drive this race. Haven't seen any mistakes from him so far. Had a decent qualifying. He's just performing this one to perfection so far.
Lap 22 of 27. M. Doran, Ivan Beloved, and Beck 9000, your top 3. Oh, it's just Nico and Luke Bailey, your top 5. Oh, it's just Nico starting to get a little bit close to Beck 9000, but could not get the pass done before the chicane.
Yeah, Beck has fallen out of the DRS from Ivan Belov, so he's gonna have a hard time defending now from Nico. He is very low on ERS as well. You see the light on his rear is flashing, which means he's out of battery, basically recharging.
M. Doran now 4 seconds ahead of Ivan Beloved. Oh, it's just Nico might have just had a little bit of contact with Beck 9000, and Luke Bailey maybe trying to make a move on Oh, it's just Nico. Will he be able to do it, though? Nico and Luke Bailey both have DRS, so Luke Bailey is going nowhere right now.
No, that's true, and it seems like we're having somewhat of a battle also between from 8th to 11th at this moment for the last point finishes, with Ginger Tiger outside of the points at this moment, but without any penalties registered on him so far.
On board with Ginger Tiger, and you see Taking L's just ahead of him. But Taking L's has a time penalty. Ginger Tiger does not, just like you were saying, Robin. So this could be Ginger Tiger walking away with at least 1 point on the day.
Yeah, being the championship leader at this point. Oh, and we have Beck out of the... Beck is out. What happened?
Beck 9000 out of this race. We have a virtual safety car. Will it be upgraded to a full safety car? Or is it too close to the end of the race for that?
Seems like he caught the wall on the left side there after the chicane. Might have been a little bit too aggressive out of that... out on that straight, and maybe he was on the curbs or something and then just spun right off and hit the wall.
So Robin, imagine if the Warslander had got this virtual safety car when he pitted. It would have done him so many favors. He might still be in the top 5. He might be looking at a win. Instead, he's back there in 7th with maybe a very, very, very slight chance at finishing in the top 5.
Yeah, he's gonna have to take almost a miracle. I say it seems like he has, is it 7 seconds up to Mr. Steen, but of course with some penalties and being on a soft tire at the moment, he still has a chance, of course. And we have another yellow flag. It's DeLang. He spun.
Mr. Steen and DeLang looked like they were having a battle. I guess it was just DeLang that was spinning. The Warslander goes around for the 6th position, though. So there you go. The Warslander, he already got 1 position. He's just got to find 7 more seconds to get into the top 5. And that's going to be easier said than done. But regardless, he might be able to get at least semi-close. Oh, it's just Nico, though. If you want to talk about close, he's getting close to Ivan for the 2nd position, and he doesn't even need to. Ivan with the time penalty. That is at least 3 seconds for him and his McLaren teammate. 3 seconds for the both of them, as you can see there, except Beck is out. But it's Luke Bailey with 3 seconds, 8 seconds for Elite Dave. Taking L's, 3 seconds for him. Simon Palmer, 6 seconds. And Daryl Whiffen with 12 seconds of time penalties.
Yeah, and we have, I'm actually looking at M. Doran's, he's running with 2 warnings at the moment, so he's 1 warning away from having a penalty at this point. So he's gonna be extra careful.
So what you're saying is that, oh, it's just Nico probably needs to get by Ivan and kick it into high gear, because if M. Doran picks up a time penalty, there's still a chance that the AlphaTauri driver could win.
Yeah, definitely. Putting some pressure on M. Doran here would be preferable, of course, from Nico if he wants the win. But it still seems like Ivan Belov's medium tires are holding up pretty well. Let's see here. They can do anything.
And oh, it's just Nico going around for 2nd place. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. Move. Oh, it's just Nico up into the 2nd position. Now let's see if he can eat away at that time difference, and if M. Doran even gets a time penalty to make it all worthwhile.
Here comes Luke Bailey as well on Ivan Belov. Going on the outside. He seems to stick it. Yeah, he's passed.
Luke Bailey running in 3rd position now, but here is an update on his time penalties. 3 seconds for him and Ivan Belov. So Mr. Steen potentially could be looking at a 3rd place finishing position, but he's going to have to find a little bit more time if he wants to get 3rd and not just 4th.
Yeah, he has a lot of ERS left, so he's probably going to use that now as there's only 2 laps left. He's exactly within that 3-second window at the moment. This is going to go down to the wire, so to say. It's a really interesting finish of this race. Really interesting to see you get the final podium position at this moment.
Looking at Mr. Steen now, 2 seconds, 1.9 seconds behind Ivan. I think that might just be enough. It's going to be so very close. Luke Bailey, though, in third place with a time penalty. Ivan with a time penalty. M. Doran and Owichasniko, your top two with no time penalties. Owichasniko, a small chance to win this race if and only if M. Doran picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He is on the last warning he can use before getting that time penalty, but Nico is still nowhere close to the 3-second time. It's going to come down to the wire for the win. It's going to come down to the wire for the third place position, but M. Doran is in the final sector now. He won last week in Australia. He's the only Haas in the field, and he still scores more points than his competitors in the Ferrari as long as he makes these final two corners without any issue. Rounding the final hairpin, M. Doran stays within the track, and he will get the French Grand Prix for the F2 League. Congratulations to M. Doran on the win. Oh, it's just Nico in second place. Third place will be Luke Bailey on track, but after the time penalties, it's the last lap.
Seems like, we're on the last lap, yeah. We're on the last lap now.
Oh, I got ahead of myself. I got way too far ahead of myself. But even still,
Nico
it still
has a
remains.
chance.
It still remains, though. M. Doran, if he picks up the 3 seconds worth of time penalties, it's going to be Nico's. But Nico, he is 3.2 seconds ahead. Ivan, Luke, and Mr. Steen all so very close. Mr. Steen has actually caught Ivan on track now.
And that's going to help him a lot now that he has the DRS trying to catch up to Luke Bailey.
Oh, and Mr. Steen tried so hard to get around Ivan in the chicane. A little bit of contact there. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. It's definitely not going to be enough. Ivan 4 seconds behind Luke Bailey. Luke Bailey might have just done enough.
Oh, we have a battle for 10th position as well. Ginger Tiger just passed, taking L's.
And Luke Bailey got around Owichasniko for second place just to add a little bit of insult to injury. M. Doran, meanwhile, in the third sector. Still 2.9 seconds ahead of Luke Bailey and no time penalties to his name. That means that M. Doran has officially won this race as long as he makes it to the line, which he should do. Luke Bailey second on track this time, but will drop down to third after the time penalties. Your pole sitter of Owichasniko coming up one spot short in second place. Ivan in fourth, Mr. Steen in fifth, Elite Dave in sixth place, but Ivan drops down to fifth after the time penalties. Mr. Steen promoted to the fourth position. The Warslander gets sixth, seventh is DeLange, eighth is Elite Dave, Ginger Tiger in ninth so far, and 10th is Turok, 11th taking L, Simon Palmer in 12th, 13th Daryl Whiffen, and Joe Hamster in 14th.
It was just so much going on at the last lap here. Felt like we had a lot of battles. Oh, and we have Joe Hamster spinning in the final corner there, just to say bye to France. See you next year.
And I'd say Joe Hamster would rather forget about France altogether. So would Daryl Whiffen, the two Mercedes finishing pretty much at the tail end of the field.
Yeah, the Mercedes are not going to be happy about this race.
And honestly, neither would I. The Warslander gets driver of the day. And, you know, honestly, I do agree with that. He started very far back on the hard tires. A safety car helped him get the lead, but he still ultimately had to pit due to the regulation of having two different tire compounds, and still finishes in sixth. Here is your official finishing results for the Invictus Racing League F2 PlayStation League. M. Doran, your winner once again, with Owichasniko in second, Luke Bailey third, Mr. Steen in fourth. Fifth is Ivan Belov with the Warslander in sixth. Seventh is DeLange, Elite Dave in eighth. Ninth is Ginger Tiger, Turok in 10th. 11th is Taking L's, Simon Palmer in 12th. 13th, Joe Hamster. 14th, Daryl Whiffen. Beck 9000 in 15th. 16th is G Queasy, Eric Pancakes in the 17th position. We will talk to our top three finishers of M. Doran, Owichasniko, and Luke Bailey if they want to join and give an interview, give us their thoughts of the race. So we will try to get them in here in just a moment. So while we're doing that, though, Robin, what do you think of the French Grand Prix?
Well, it was really entertaining to watch, I must say. A lot of things happening, a lot of overtakes, really nice overtakes to watch. I believe that the fact that some people went on different strategies made it very interesting as well. We had some guys opting for the medium tires during the safety car and some for the hard tires. And I was actually surprised a lot of the medium guys actually could go all the way to the finish line. So good, really good job from them, I must say.
Very good job indeed. Me personally, I wish that we had less of the DRS trains, but it still proved to be an interesting race, a few differing pit strategies, and like you said earlier, France is one of those tracks to where you can use an unorthodox strategy and still it worked for you, and I think we saw that with the Warslander getting 6th place today. Sure, it was a little bit of luck involved. The safety car came out and it helped him out, but ultimately the Warslander going from outside the top 10 very far away up to 6th place with at least a theoretical chance at a top 5 or better is not a bad day. Luke Bailey is in here just waiting on the other two drivers. Of course, your winner of Imdor, and everyone wants to hear from him. And, oh, it's just Nico.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him in here.
So hopefully we can get them in here soon. But while we have him, we will go ahead and talk to our 3rd place finisher of Luke Bailey in the Ferrari. So if you have not already done so, Luke, please make sure you've allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click always allow, and let me know when you're ready. All right, so Luke, going into this race, Ferrari were officially the leaders in the constructor standings by 2 points over the Haas, but I do believe that has changed now, but do not quote me on that. What is your overall outlook for the rest of the season? Are you focusing more on Drivers' Championship, or are you focusing on Constructors? And despite the time penalty, you could probably call this one a fairly good race. So do you think that this was just because it was France and you run well here? Or are you expecting to see more consistent results like this throughout the season? And how are you feeling about next week, Luke? 50-50. You're just going to wait and see when you show up, right? Well, you know what? Oh, go ahead. There you go. I understand how that is. Honestly, I'm in my own league racing. I usually just take the tracks as they come. So I don't know how I feel about it until I actually get there. Well, Luke, congratulations on your podium today, and thank you for talking with us. Did we get M. Doran, or, oh, it's just Nico in here?
Seems like we have some bad luck there, Tim.
So I assume we will not get a chance to talk to either of them.
Doesn't seem like it at the moment.
That is a shame. I really wanted to hear from both of them because they had a great battle pretty much the whole race. I mean, it's just Nico. He kind of got out ahead, and I thought for a minute that maybe he would just walk away with it after seeing the gap that he had to him in qualifying. But M. Doran was able to reel him in at the right time and get around him, and M. Doran just sailed off into the sunset. Do you have any closing thoughts, Robin?
I was just thinking, asking Luke that when the safety car came out, were you planning to do a soft hard strategy from the start, or did you change that when the safety car got out? Yeah, you might send the question to Pirelli and see what kind of data they could provide you with. 28% seems a lot just after the first lap, I must say. All right, no more questions for me, Tim.
And I guess
doesn't seem like we're getting M. Doran or Nico in here.
And that's unfortunate, but we understand completely. And I guess that's all the time that we have. One more time, though, big thank you to our sponsors, Nailco, Hall, GridFinder.com, and Driver61 for jumping on board and supporting the race and the league as a whole. Thank you so much to all the drivers that raced with us. Congratulations to our top 3 finishers, and thank you to everyone who watched the stream. And until next time, I am Tim. Have fun, and goodbye.